Welcome to the STRATIFYX user interface. In this video, we'll go over some of the basics using the platform. Let's start by coming over to the left side of our screen, and we can see some of our project management features. If we click the drop-down arrow in the project area, we can see how to open projects, create projects, rename projects, share projects with others in our organization, as well as delete projects. So if we left click open a different project, it gives us our list of projects. But I'll go ahead and left click cancel, and I'll keep my basic interface tutorial project open. Left click that arrow again and it closes the menu. Moving down below that, you'll see our area of interest feature. We'll left click that drop down arrow as well. And you'll see I already have a area of interest created titled basic AOI. AOI short for area of interest. I can left click this eye icon and it brings the view to the area of interest that I've created. If I want, I can left click to move around my view. I can also use the scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out. So we'll zoom back out so we're not hurting our eyes there. And don't worry if I'm going a little bit fast. We'll have specifics in other videos on how to use all these functions. We'll then left click our highest and best value drop down arrow, and we can see various land management options here. I've already turned a few on just to briefly look at what this function can do. And we'll left click our scenarios, which are our scenarios of our land management options, and I've created two, and we can left click those checkboxes and compare our different scenarios, and you'll see here how we can compare those scenarios. So I'll left click this X and close this menu, and we'll take a deeper dive into those functions later. Moving to the bottom left of our screen, we can search for a place, left clicking the search box and typing in an area that we're interested in. Perhaps it's El Paso, Texas. So now it zooms us into El Paso. And we can zoom out a little bit. Or if we don't want that to be our location anymore, we can just left click this X here in the search bar, and that gets rid of our El Paso location. We can also go to the bottom right of our screen and we can left click the find your location icon, which will use GPS to find your current location if you have those functions enabled on your computer. I'm located in Fort Collins, so it brings us to the Fort Collins area. If we want to turn that function off, we'll come back to the bottom right side of our screen, and we'll left click again, and that toggles the find my location off. We'll then zoom back out. I'll keep our view to the state of Colorado for right now because we'll take a look at some other functions. If you look at the top right side of your screen, you can see the feedback button, and we can left click that and left click the box, and you can type in any suggestions or improvements you might have. And I encourage everyone to be very generous with the amount of comments and feedback they put, as it makes the product better. We can also left click our parcel search and left click the search parcels box, and this opens the search parcels query. We'll take a deeper dive into that later. So we'll close that, left click again, and it closes the menu. You also see the account, your account, and you can left click that, and this is your account options. Just below your account, you'll see the base map, layers, and layer library menus. We'll left click the base map menu and open that up and take a look. Here you can toggle to different base maps. Perhaps we want to take a look at the outdoor map, which gives us a look at the topographical view. And as you can see, the features appear differently. Left clicking, open the base map again, And we can left click to go back to our satellite and street view. And that takes us back to that. We'll left click the base map again to take a look at our 3D function. We'll left click the enable 3D terrain. And now the 3D terrain is turned on, which we can't see from this view, so we'll have to toggle to see some of our other views. So let's zoom in here, perhaps to the boulder area. And depending on what your computer or desktop setup is, you can toggle the 3D view in different ways. I use a mouse, so I like to use the right click feature to toggle the 3D view. So I'll right click and hold, and now I can toggle the 3D view. If you don't have access to a mouse, you can also hold the control button on your keyboard and also hold the left click, and you can toggle that way as well. You can also adjust the exaggeration of your 3D view, and if we turn it all the way on, it exaggerates the topography extremely. And if we take it down to 1, then it is a very little exaggeration. You can keep that on if you like, or left click to turn it off, and it easily just comes back on if we left click to turn it on again. So after toggling, perhaps your view is a bit different. So what we can do is come down to the bottom right of our screen again, and we can left click the orient button, which resets our bearing to north and south. So then we're back to our base view. You can leave that 3D open or closed, it's up to you. I'll just turn it off for now. And we'll left click the X to close our base map menu. And coming just below our base map menu is our layers menu, which right now is loaded our just base layers that always are on the platform. They can be toggled off and on by left clicking the checkbox. As you'll see, roads just turned off. Now we can left click again and roads appear. This is where layers will also be held once they're loaded onto the map. And we'll go into that in deeper detail in other videos. Let's left click the X and left click our layer library just below layers. And this is where all of our layers are housed and our different functional groups are held. As you can see, we have various functional layer groups. And again, we'll take a deeper dive into how to use those and everything there. So we'll left click the X, and we'll just go over briefly one last function of the basic interface, and that's our measurement tool. So we'll come down to the bottom right again. We'll left click the measure tool, the ruler, and we'll come over to an area we want to measure. We'll left click, and that drops 1 point, and then we'll left click again, and that drops another point. And as you can see here, it measures across this reservoir about 1.4 miles. If we like, we can also adjust to where our points are to see some different measurements. So we can left click and hold and drag our point, and that adjusts our distance here. And we can do the same with our other point. We'll hold the left click and drag, and now our distance is adjusted. Once again, if we want to turn that function off, we can come to the bottom right of our screen and left click the ruler, and that turns off our measurement tool. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video of our exploratory functions and layer library.